this, let's heal. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Welcome back to the third episode of Real Girls Heal Things. Thank you so much to everybody that has been supporting my podcast and listening to me and sharing and sending me messages and just warm words. I appreciate you guys. Let's get straight into today's topic. In today's topic, we are going to be talking about navigating relationships after a toxic relationship, or basically falling in love again after being in a toxic relationship. I'm just going to, as always, share my own thoughts and experiences on that matter. It's a very personal one for me, so I hope everybody kind of listens to me with some grace, and because topics like this always need us to be very vulnerable, and I've always had a tough time being completely vulnerable in a public sense, or in a public space. But anyway, so I mean, if you know me personally, then I'll kind of just go back a few years. So I was in a very toxic and I'll almost even say abusive relationship with someone a few years ago, right? And this is probably somebody that somebody I dated for most of my life, like somebody who basically introduced me to like dating. I got to experience love, I got to experience relationshiping, I got to experience a lot of things with this person. And in actual fact, I spent half of like my teenage and like almost adulthood with this person. So for the longest time, all I knew was what him and I had, and I was stuck to that space for a very long time, for about maybe even 10 years, 7 years. It was a long time. So a lot of my personality, my being, who I was so trapped in that relationship that I could not leave, no matter how toxic it was, no matter how bad it got. I have never experienced feeling so trapped in a cycle like I did in that relationship. So I was in that relationship, and I mean, it really had its good and bad, but for the most part, I don't really think I got to understand myself, or who I was, or what I wanted, or what love is for me. I don't think I ever got to like really know myself in that sense, because I was with that person for such a long time. We would break up and get back together, and break up and get back together. I have lost friends. I have lost people in my life that like felt like I was even too toxic to be in their lives, because they really just got tired of trying to get me out of this toxic cycle that I was with this person. And it was really bad. Like, it was so bad. It got worse over, like, as the years continued. Like, the more I stayed, the more difficult it became to leave, and the more toxic the relationship happened. And honestly, even for me to leave, I think God had to make that situation so impossible for me. Like, God had to make sure that I have no doubt that I needed to leave that place. Like, God put me in a place where there really was no other choice but for me to leave, you know. And it was only at that point where I reached rock bottom, like completely lost myself, from like the breakdown of that relationship. I remember whenever, like, guys, it was so bad. I think I mentioned the times where I was hospitalized, where I had to go to like a mental institute and like get institutionalized for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like, I would have to go through these programs. And honestly, I think it was because I felt so lost in those moments, and I felt like the only person that really understood me was this person, but that was the same person that was dragging me for filth, like literally treating me like dirt. And I think even at the time I had put my worth and like my self-worth on him so much that I believed the things that he would tell me about me. Like, I believed him when he told me like I'm nothing. I believed him when he told me I'm never gonna find anyone that like he's the only person that's ever going to deal with me or like, you know, tolerate me, you know. And I believed those things, and for the longest time I thought, oh my gosh, I probably do not have a life without this person. And I didn't know much, but at the time I just knew that relationship was my identity, and if I left, I would have no identity. And I think that's really where the breakdown of my psyche happened. And although when I went to therapy, it was for everything else that was happening in my life, but I think at the core of it was this relationship, because it had triggered all these other things that were happening. I had to come to a point where I'm asking myself, why am I still staying in this relationship? What is it about me? What is it about my childhood, about my experiences that makes me settle for this? Or what is it that I need to heal in order to believe that I'm better off without this person? I would invest so much in therapy, okay, only to go back to him and start over again. And I remember this one time, like the last time I was hospitalized, he drove me there. I remember being at home, I think for a week, just suffering so much emotionally, like needing help, and at that time I don't even know why I'm suffering so much, but I know that I'm not okay and I need help. And I knew that at the core of it was because I knew I had to leave that specific relationship. I knew that my healing and me becoming a different person starts with leaving that specific relationship, because I was at a point where I had accepted so much from him that the bar was just low. There was nothing else that he could do to me that would shock me anymore, and that would make me leave, you know. And so I remember like just being so depressed that week and deciding, oh my gosh, I need help. Like, I'm going to go and get help. And I remember him and his friends driving me to that hospital. I spent that, like the night before that, just crying, like just screaming for help. And, you know, obviously when I get to hospital, he looks like, to my doctors or like to the people that are receiving me there, he looks like this supportive boyfriend, you know, who wants me to get better. And he keeps telling me, you know, I'm going to be here waiting for you. You need to get better so that me and you can also be fine. And I was internalizing all those things. I was internalizing all those words about how I am like the worst person ever. And mind you, like, I may have had a few other relationships, like very short relationships, happen throughout him being in my life, like when we were having like on and offs. But like, he was the one person that was in my life longest and like affected me the most. And I get to therapy, and I really start to dig deep and try to figure out like how I can leave, or like the tools that I needed to leave that relationship. It was really bad, but I think at the time I wasn't ready, because even after I got out of the institute, I would just go right back to him. Maybe I'd try like leave for like a week, but I would just go back, and it was just a constant for years, until like it really got to a point where I knew I was going to lose my life if I didn't leave. I knew I was like, my child was just going to suffer because I was unable to protect her, and I was unable to protect myself, and I was unable to put myself first. And I also knew that I would never want this for my child. I think at the core of it, I just kept thinking, what am I teaching my child? Like, how am I ever going to teach her to know her worth, to stand up for herself, to be her own person, when I am struggling to just get out of something that had completely destroyed me as a human being? And at the time that I left, and honestly, I think what also helped was my grief. It was losing my mom that made things so much clearer for me. The pain I felt when I left, when my mom passed, I knew that nothing would ever hurt me more than losing my mom. And also because my mom actually passed while seeing me suffer emotionally in this relationship. So I also knew that she really wanted me to get to a point where I'm out of that relationship. She was just so tired also of seeing me go through that and not know as a mom like what to say to me or how to help me get through it. So she just ignored, but she was just like I remember she kept saying to me, you are so young, like, do you know, like, my mom was like, do you know how many boyfriends I had before I even like met your dad? Like, it's really not that deep. Just leave, you will meet someone. And at the time I was just like, no, there's no way. Oh, I don't know, but like that picture didn't seem to make sense for me at the time. But it took losing my mom for me to finally get to a point where I was so broken. God really, really had to break me. He had to break me into pieces. Like pieces where I couldn't even piece them back together, because there was no way I could have came out of that the same person. God made sure He breaks me down into so many pieces that rebuilding me would be another story. If I was ever gonna be like built again, I was gonna come back a completely different person, and that's exactly what happened. And after that, I went back to therapy again full time. I was still struggling a lot. I still a lot, and obviously, even during that time where I left, I'm still getting these words like, you're nothing, you're never gonna be anything, nobody's ever gonna love you, you're broken, you are this, you are crazy, you're in and out of hospitals, your head is not right, like all these things. So it was still very hard for me to think that I truly could leave that relationship and come out a different person. But my therapist at the time, like, I remember when I went to therapy at that time, it was because I was trying to process my grief, but we couldn't even get to the grief because of this relationship. My therapist was always like, you just need to find tools to like get yourself out of this, and then only will you be able to tap into your grief. And it was only in my grief that I came to terms with a lot of things, and a lot of I guess emotional baggage that I had, things that are maybe tied to my childhood, things that are tied to the issues that I had, like my abandonment issues, how I genuinely felt like if I left this person, everyone else was going to leave me. And just believing all these things in my head that some of them, someone put them in my head, and then I started believing them. And it took months of therapy and just time also, and just being very patient with myself, being patient on the days where I wanted to go back again, or on the days where I relapsed, but eventually, look, we got over that and we came out on the other side, and I had to restart my life. I had to reprogram my entire mind. I had to reprogram everything I knew about life, about love, about relationships, about who I was. I felt and I struggled for the next 2 years after that. I struggled to find myself. Literally, I struggled to figure out who I am, where I stand, the kind of person I wanted to be, the kind of girlfriend I wanted to be. I was just all over the place. I really, really was. And I always tell my boyfriend that he saved me. I always tell him that he saved me. I saved myself, but he saved me because he found me in that confusion where I was still trying to figure out who I wanted to be. I was still trying to figure out if I want a relationship like that again, if I would ever fall in love again, if I would ever trust a man again. So yeah, he kind of also found me in the midst of a lot of breakdowns. And I remember when I met him, and I don't know what we were talking about, but I kept telling him, you'd never be able to deal with me. You'd be tired of me the first week we dated. I used to really speak about myself in that sense. I used to really believe that I'm just this impossible person to date, that I'm too emotional, too clingy, too needy. I'm anxiously attached, so that would drive people away, and my need for attachment would drive people away. So yeah, so then I just didn't trust myself to be in a relationship anymore. So I would kind of ruin things for myself before they began. And my boyfriend at the time, he wasn't my boyfriend, but then I don't know what exactly he saw, or what our conversation was at the time. But literally, I'm talking about the first day we met, after I had poured my heart out to him. I don't even know how we came to talk about things so deep when we had literally just met on that day. And I just literally told him my entire life story about how I was this broken girl who doesn't believe in love and who's been so hurt and doesn't trust men. And he said, listen, I'm never going to do that. I remember his exact words. He's like, I'm never going to do that. And I thought, of course you're going to say that. And I remember the first time we fought, the first time we had a real fight. And mind you, even then, we were not really trying to date. I don't even understand what we were trying to do at that point when we met. But I don't think we're trying to date. But casually as things moved, and I think we found ourselves in a relationship, and we had our first fight, and he came to my house, and I remember I went off like I usually do. I went off. I lost my mind, and I used to just block and just retract and distance myself and just kind of go on some I don't care about you, just go on a completely different mode. And he would come to my house and be like, remember our first conversation, this is what I said, so I'm here and we're gonna fix this. And that was very, very early in our relationship, and I didn't even know what I was doing, honestly. And now I'm dating someone who, one, is older, and I had never ever dated anyone older than me, and two, completely different to what I know relationships to be like. It was like a completely different ball game. So it was very hard for me to like navigate around my feelings. I didn't know how I was supposed to feel. I didn't know what was right, what emotions were okay, and what emotions I had to be wary of. But I think there was a lot of patience from him, and eventually we really got to a point where he understands me now. He like fully understands me. Sometimes it's difficult because I think my attachment style, like I said, like me being so anxiously attached, somehow it can really get damaging to or strain a relationship. It really, and especially because he's the kind of, like, we are so different. He's the kind of person who wouldn't, like, if there is a rift between us or if there's a disagreement or whatever, he would not, like, he'd rather not have that conversation then while emotions are high. And I want to have conversations right then and then. And when I'm like in that state, I'll usually say the worst things. Like, I will say the worst things I can say about you in that heated moment. And I think he just doesn't want to do that. So he just kind of takes a step back. And then I get really frustrated. And then I really used to do like the wildest thing. One, I used to block my boyfriend every week. Or every time I felt like he did something, I would block him. Like, I've blocked him so many times, and he's had to just come to my house and like talk to me and apologize and fix things so many times that at some point, like, he gave up on saving my number on his phone because he was just like, as soon as I save your number, you're going to block me. And I really struggled with that. But that was only because I felt like I needed to protect myself. I felt like I needed like this wall every time. Like, if he does something that I'm not happy with, even though he doesn't even know that he's doing something I'm not happy with, I would block him. And it came to a point where I really had to figure out exactly why I was doing that and a way for us to like just move through that. And I don't even know how we did it, hey. I don't even know how we got through like those like parts or points of like our relationship, but we did. Hence I'm saying he was just very patient with me. And I just feel like this person met me, and I don't know how I was able to show like the real me to him on the first day. Usually I just like to like act out, like have a completely different personality, and then as the weeks go by, then you'll start seeing the true me. But like, he saw the true me from the first day and he fell in love with that. And I think that's what has also made us stronger as we were moving through the relationship, because there was nothing that could surprise him in terms of who I was, because he had already seen it the first day that we met. And even during like the first time we had a fight, he could already just tell that, okay, she wasn't kidding when she said this is how she is. So a lot of patience, and just him being so kind and understanding to who I was, and just seeing me for me, and choosing me for like who he saw me to be. Like, if there's anything that I'll give this man, is that he has chosen me in so many situations every single time. Like, he has chosen me each time in any instance. And even during the times that I was wrong, even during the times that he fucked up, like, it has never been a matter of like, he's never been done with me. He's never been done with me. I've been done a lot of times. I've had moments where I'm just like, I'm so sick of this relationship, I'm done, I don't want to do this. And we've been together for 2 years now. And there's been times I got so tired, I was just like, it's over, I'm done. He has never been done with me. He has always just waited for me to like get it together. and then he was just there waiting. And yeah, so I guess finding somebody who was really so open to receiving me, to loving me at my worst, like at my worst. My boyfriend found me healing. He didn't find me healed. He literally found me like maybe just at the beginning of my healing. In fact, honestly and truly, I'm only really starting to heal a lot of parts of myself that were broken now this year with this podcast, with like when this year started. That's when I got to just like unfold a lot of things that were happening in my life and try to understand myself more and try to understand who I want to be as a person, as a partner, as a mom. All of this is happening this year. So he really found me during like my healing and me trying to figure myself out. I'm still trying to figure myself out, and he's still choosing me even now. And yeah, so that's basically like how I went from that relationship to the relationship that I'm in. I'm very happy. I'm very in love. I'm very settled. My nervous system is like shocked sometimes that this relationship has lasted as long as it has lasted, and that I'm still in love, and that, you know, even with everything that me and him have gone through, and we've gone through quite a lot in the 2 years, it really has not been an easy walk for both me and him. Our personalities, who we are as people, our lives are so different, but like I said, the biggest thing is that he has always chosen me, even when I didn't choose him. And yeah, now we're here, and we are still trying. Like, if there's anything that me and this man are doing, is like we are trying at this every single day, like every day. Like, we go from being so mad at each other to loving each other just as hard, and that can happen in the same day, you know. And it's just been so amazing. It's an experience that I'm so glad that God gave me the opportunity to like experience, because after everything that I had been through, I would have never imagined that I would be in a relationship, and that somebody would accept me, and that somebody would see me at my weakest and at my most vulnerable, and love me and see me and just give me the space to be myself without me feeling like I'm crazy, you know. Like, I do a whole lot of crazy stuff around him and just with him, and he's just like there, you know, accepting it, loving me through it. And it's just an experience that I'm gonna cherish it for the rest of my life, no matter where life takes me and him, no matter if this, like, how long we stay at this. I know that it's still an experience that I would never change for anything. I will never change being loved the way that I have been, the way that he has shown love to me. And I'm happy, you know. I'm happy. God gave me another chance at love, and it's been really amazing. It's been an amazing experience, and I really hope for everyone truly that we all get a chance to just love, because at the end of the day, I think all of us are capable of love, and loving again and again and again, no matter how many times our hearts shatter and break, and how we break relationships even within ourselves. We are still resilient, and we can adapt and grow as human beings. And I'm often like so shocked of my ability to open up to a new relationship, no matter what happened before. I was shocked at like my ability to open up to him as much as I did, even from the first day. So yeah, I hope all of us get to experience that. I hope we all get to be kind with each other, or like with ourselves, like be okay with our past and be okay with moving on, and be patient with ourselves. And we learn that every kind of love out there is ours. Like, if there's anything that we are put to do on this earth, is to love. And we need to know that we are all deserving, inherently deserving and worthy of love. And just never tolerate anything less than that, or never really beat ourselves down and feel like we can never experience good things. I think I read something today actually, and basically, okay, I can't remember what it said, but basically, okay, let me wait, let me look for it. Where is it? Okay. Honor your joy, because someone else would give anything for it. This is not it. Okay, I can't find it. There's something specific that I read today that really that touched my heart. But basically, guys, it's just whatever that we are experiencing right now in our lives should never, or that we have experienced, should really never make us, should never stop us from knowing that happiness is ours and we are worthy of it, and everyone deserves to experience love in its fullness. And I hope we all do that. I hope we all get to a point where we experience it, and I really hope we all get to a point where we heal from everything that people have put us through, because yes, we do not deserve the hurt and the experiences that we go through, but we are 100% responsible for doing the healing and healing the scar tissue that we get from other people. But yeah, this is just from my heart to yours. This is just a small, well, not small, but like yeah, my 2 cents on navigating relationships again after heartbreak. I'm not sure what the title of today's episode is gonna be, but yeah, falling in love is always scary, and at the end of the day, once you experience it, it's all worth it. It's all worth it. I can tell you now, everything I've experienced with my boyfriend, no matter where this road takes us, it will always, always, always be worth it. So, yeah, share with me your thoughts on this episode, your experiences, whatever it is that you feel like sharing with me. Do share. You can send me a DM, you can comment down below, or on YouTube, or wherever you feel comfortable. And I'll see you guys in my next episode. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And sis, please continue to heal.